1. The cellar door. A phrase said to be the most beautiful in English, yet it sounds like a trap. I'll tell you quietly. Before the night catches on, the cellar door is waiting for you at the bottom of your mind. Someone once said those words cellar door were the prettiest two in English. But it's a funny kind of beauty, like a doll's smile in the dark. Whenever I can't sleep, I imagine myself standing at the top of a staircase behind that door, damp wood beneath my feet, the smell of dust and apple peel curling upward. Some say what's beyond it is just storage boxes of memories, childhood fears stacked like jars of jam. Others say it goes deeper, below the floorboards, below reason itself. You open it and find yourself in a cavern of whispers. All of them your own voice, but speaking things you've never thought. I once dreamed I opened that door and found a party down there. Everyone I'd ever been or could have been was dancing, laughing, and glaring at me for interrupting. Some people say it's best to keep it closed, but the truth is, you've already cracked it open just by thinking about it then. So tonight, don't be afraid of the cellar. Let it sigh in your mind. Step down slowly, one creaking stair at a time. After all, the door was never locked. 2. The mirror stage. The moment you realize the person in the mirror might not be you. Oh, here's a confession. Soft and strange, I no longer trust my reflection. The mirror stage is what Lacan called that eerie moment when a baby looks into the glass and thinks, "Ah, so that's me," even though it's not quite true. I was 7 when I noticed it. I leaned toward the mirror late one night, my breath fogging the glass, and the boy in there didn't seem to be fogging it at the same time. Since then, I've caught him staring when I wasn't looking. He seems just a second ahead of me sometimes, or slightly behind, like he's rehearsing something before I do it. Some nights, I stand in the bathroom and whisper to him, "What do you want?" He never answers, but his mouth twitches. Just a little, as though he's tired of waiting for me to figure it out. Some philosophers say you never fully own yourself after that first mirror. You're always haunted by the version of you you can see but can't reach. I say good. Let him haunt me. At least he keeps me company when I can't sleep. So tonight, if you catch your reflection glancing at you a little too knowingly, don't be rude. Nod at him. Thank him for keeping your secrets. And whatever you do, don't turn the lights all the way off just yet. 3. The hollow face. That eerie optical illusion where your mind insists a hollow mask is a real, protruding face. Let me tell you a little bedtime poem. If you don't mind, a hollow face still smiles at you, though nothing lives behind it true. You blink, it grins. You turn away, it follows you until the day. Yes, the hollow face. There's something about it that makes the hair on my arms lift like dry grass in a wind. Even though you know it's concave, your brain fights back, turns it inside out so it seems warm, round, alive. I once stayed up all night with one of those masks on my desk. It was supposed to be an art project, but it sat there in the dark, smiling faintly. No matter where I moved, it turned to watch me, patient and knowing, like a cat about to pounce. It's not just an illusion. They say it's your brain refusing to accept the void. It fills the empty places with stories, flesh, eyes, breath. That's the trouble with your mind. It hates hollows. Tonight, as you lie there, don't worry if you feel the gaze of something soft but wrong on the edge of your vision. It's just your brain, filling the dark corners with familiar shapes so you don't notice how empty it really is. You're welcome. 4. The third man. That mysterious presence some people feel when they're alone. At their most desperate, there are whispers, soft ones, but they never go away, of the third man. Mountaineers speak of him when they're clinging to cliffs in storms. Sailors hear him when they're stranded on black waves. Even I've felt him. At 3 a.m. in this very bed. The third man is that silent companion who appears when you're just about to fall apart. You don't see him exactly, you just sense a figure at your shoulder. Calm, heavy with quiet authority. When I was a child, I felt him first in the woods behind my house. I was lost, my hands trembling in the leaves, and there he was just behind me, a warmth against my neck. Not quite there, not quite not there. Some say it's an angel. Some say it's the subconscious stepping in to steady you. Some say, and I rather like this, that it's a future version of yourself, reaching back to hold you upright just one more time. If you wake tonight and feel the weight of someone watching, don't be afraid. He only comes when you need him, and he never stays too long. 5. The call of the void. That little voice whispering to you when you stand on a ledge or look down from a height. Ah, here it comes, the call. It always does. I've heard it at the edge of cliffs. Yes, but also at the top of staircases, over quiet balconies, and once memorably at a 4th-story library window. That sudden, gentle thought. What if you just did? They call it l'appel du vide, the call of the void. Not because you want to fall, but because something in you marvels at the idea that you could. I once stood at the seaside on a windy night, the water black and furious below, and I swear the void giggled in my ear. Come on, it whispered, just a little closer. It's not about death, really. It's about noticing how thin the line is, how light your feet feel when you realize you're the only thing keeping yourself here. Some say it's proof you want to live because you feel the cost of leaving so vividly in that moment. Tonight, if the void calls while you lie there, don't answer. Just nod at it sleepily and let it hum to itself at the window. It will wait. It always does. 6. The doppelganger. The unsettling idea that somewhere there's another you but wrong. You don't meet your doppelganger in the sunlight. At least, I never did. I first saw mine in the middle of a grocery store at closing time, standing motionless by the frozen peas, hands clasped behind his back. He wore my coat, but it fit him better. He blinked at me, slow, and grinned just a little too wide. Folklore says meeting your double means death, or madness, or that your life splits cleanly into before and after. I only know this, he follows me sometimes, in mirrors, on the other side of crowded trains, a few feet behind me in dreams. Once, half asleep, I saw him sitting at the foot of my bed, reading one of my books. He didn't even look up when I whispered his name. Some philosophers say he is the self you've abandoned the parts you cut away to fit into yourself. If you catch a glimpse of yours tonight, don't panic, don't speak. Just close your eyes and let him finish whatever it is he came to do. He's not really here for you anyway. 7. The infinite staircase. A dream where you climb and climb, but the top never comes. Let me paint you a picture, though it may make you dizzy. I once dreamt of a staircase, black marble, no railing, spiralling upward through fog so thick it clung to my lips when I breathed. I climbed and climbed and climbed. The strange part is that I was not in a hurry, nor did I expect to reach anything at the top. The stairs just kept pulling me, step by step, like the quiet beat of a drum. People call it the infinite staircase. Some say it appears in dreams because you're chasing something you can't name. Others say it's just your mind spinning its wheels, burning through energy you never used during the day. Once, after a long night of climbing, I found a door halfway up, tiny, wooden, carved with little moons, and it was locked. Of course it was. So I kept climbing. If you find yourself there tonight, don't rush. Don't count the steps. Just feel the stone underfoot, cool and steady, and let the climb lull you into something softer than sleep. You don't need to reach the top. You never really could. 8. The whispers in the static. That faint murmur you hear when everything else is quiet. Hush. You know what I mean, the sound just beneath the silence. When the TV's been switched off, but the screen still hisses faintly. When the house is asleep, but you hear something. I call them the whispers in the static. Some say it's just the nervous system buzzing, like a frayed wire inside your head. Others say it's the brain picking up the echo of all the words you forgot to say during the day. Once, I sat in the dark listening to those whispers, trying to catch what they were saying. They weren't scary. They were just tired. Tired little voices telling me things I already half knew. Don't forget the light bulb. She misses you. Take the trash out tomorrow. You're not really alone. A scientist once told me it's perfectly normal, that the mind abhors silence and will fill it with whatever scraps it can find. But I wonder sometimes if the static has a message you only understand just as you're about to drift under. Tonight, if you hear them, don't strain to listen too hard. Just let them hum and crackle, weaving themselves into your dreams. They've been waiting all day for you to be quiet enough to hear them. 9. The room that wasn't there. The strange sense that there's a hidden room in your own home. I'll tell you something I shouldn't. Every house, yes. Even yours has a room you've never opened. Sometimes, when you're very tired, you notice it. A door at the end of the hallway that seems farther than it should be. A faint draft where no draft ought to be. I've seen mine many times. In daylight, it disappears, a plain wall. But at night, when the walls seem to breathe and the pipes murmur, it's there again, waiting. Some say it's just a trick of memory, that we are so good at imagining we forget what is real. Others say it's where your childhood fears go when you outgrow them, all lined up in boxes, dusted and labelled monster under bed, fear of drowning, fear of being forgotten. Once, I almost opened it. My hand rested on the doorknob. It was warm, which frightened me more than if it had been cold. If you feel it tonight, that impossible room pressing at the corner of your mind, don't open it yet. It's been patient this long, it can wait a little longer. 10. The silent dinner. That dream where everyone you've ever known sits at a long table, staring at you. Ah, yes, the dinner. I've been to it more times than I care to count. You arrive late, of course, always late, and there they are, a long table stretching farther than sight allows, covered in candles that sputter but never quite go out. And seated at that table, everyone, your first teacher, that boy who shoved you into a locker, the cousin you haven't spoken to since the fight, the stranger who smiled at you once in a cafe and made your day without knowing, all of them. They don't speak, they only watch. Knives and forks poised politely in their hands. Waiting. Some nights, I try to apologize to them all at once. Other nights, I pretend to laugh, as if it's a party, but always they sit silently, blinking in perfect unison, like a room full of clocks you can't stop. When you find yourself at their table tonight, don't bother with excuses. Just sit, fold your hands, and let them watch until your eyes get heavy and the candles finally burn down. They've been waiting a long time. 11. The clock that ticks backward. That quiet dread when time seems to slip the wrong way. I hesitate to tell you this one, but you've probably already felt it. There's a moment, usually just before sleep, when the room is soft and heavy, when the tick of the clock sounds wrong. Not just slow, but backward. I first noticed it in my grandmother's parlour. The second hand stuttered, then began to glide the wrong way. I sat there, breath held, watching hours unspool, coffee cooling back into the pot, footsteps rewinding into silence. Some say it's just the mind preparing to dream, untangling the knots of memory. Others claim it's a rare glimpse into the direction time really wants to go when no one's watching. Once, lying awake, I closed my eyes and tried to move with it, letting thoughts rewind, letting mistakes fold back into possibility. And for a few precious minutes, I almost believed it could undo everything. So tonight, if you hear the clock tick strangely softer, slower, backwards, don't resist it. Let it pull you into its spiral. It will bring you to morning soon enough. 12. The stranger in your dream. That unsettling feeling when someone you don't know keeps showing up. Let me tell you about him, though you've already met. He never speaks. He's always there at the edge of your dream, standing just far enough that you can't see his face. Sometimes in a crowd, sometimes just beyond the trees, sometimes in the corner of your own room. We all see him eventually. Some call him the dream stranger, the quiet witness to your sleep. I first noticed him on a train in a dream. He sat 3 rows ahead, perfectly still, holding a newspaper upside down. The next night, he was at my kitchen table, pretending to sip tea. The odd thing is, everyone describes him differently, but the same. Familiar, yet impossible to name. Some say he's a guardian. Some say he's a memory. Some say, and this is my favourite, he's just another dreamer who wandered into your mind by mistake and forgot how to leave. If he visits you tonight, Don't be afraid. Don't ask who he is. Just nod. And let him stand there quietly while you drift deeper. He's very good at keeping watch. 13. The black dog. The silent creature that sits on your chest when you can't quite name what's wrong. There's no delicate way to say it. The black dog finds everyone sooner or later. Sometimes you hear him first nails on the floorboards, soft breath at the edge of your pillow. Sometimes you just wake up to find him already curled up on your chest, heavy as wet wool. Winston Churchill used to call his depression the black dog, but I think that name is too kind for what it feels like. I've known mine since I was a child. He waits at the foot of the bed some nights, his eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Other nights, he climbs up, lays his head under my chin, and whispers things I'd rather not hear. Some say he's just an instinct, your mind telling you to stop, to hide, to hibernate. Others think he's something older, a shadow sewn into us before we were born. You don't fight him, you don't pet him, either. You simply breathe beneath his weight until he grows bored and wanders off again. So tonight, if you feel his paws press against your ribs, don't be afraid. Let him keep you company. He always leaves before morning. 14. The stairs in the forest. That impossible staircase you find in dreams and stories, leading up into nothing. There's a hush in the woods at night, a hush that means you've wandered too far. And then you see it, a staircase rising out of the leaves. Perfect. Clean. Leading upward into darkness that shouldn't be there. I saw it once, in a dream I swore was real. The stairs were carved stone, cool under my bare feet. The air thick with pine, and something sweet I couldn't name. People say you're not supposed to climb them, that each step takes you further from yourself. But I couldn't resist. I climbed until the forest below was a memory, until the stars were below me too, until I heard faint laughter coming from above, below both. Then I woke sitting up in bed, out of breath, with the smell of pine still clinging to me. Some believe the stairs are an invitation from whatever lies just beyond our understanding. Others think they're nothing but your mind testing itself. If you see them tonight, rising quiet and straight from the darkness, you can climb if you like. Just count your steps and don't look down. 15. The endless hallway. The dream where the farther you walk, the farther you still have to go. There's a hallway in my mind, perhaps in yours too, that only appears when you're too tired to keep your eyes open, but too restless to close them. It starts like any hallway painted walls, dim sconces, the faint smell of floor wax. But as you walk, the air thickens, the lights grow weaker, the walls stretch and twist. I remember walking that hallway one night, my bare feet sticking to the tiles, the doors on either side slamming shut just as I reached them. At some point, I realized I wasn't moving forward at all. Some say it's a metaphor for anxiety, for chasing answers you can't find. Others say it's just your subconscious sorting itself into neat little rows. I prefer to think the hallway has no destination because it is the destination. If you find yourself walking it tonight, don't panic. Let your fingers skim the walls. Let your footsteps echo. Eventually, you'll wake up, though you'll never quite remember turning around. 16. The visitor who knocks. That strange knock at the door when you're sure you're alone. It comes when the house is still. Always 3 knocks deliberate, patient, not loud, but enough to set your heart racing. I first heard it on a snowy night when I was 12. The sound drifted through the quiet like a pebble dropped in water. I didn't open the door. I only pressed my ear against it and listened. On the other side, nothing. No footsteps. No breath. Just the feeling that someone or something was waiting, smiling faintly in the dark. Some say it's a test, a trick of the wind, or perhaps just a dream trying to bleed into waking. But the knock always comes when you least expect it, doesn't it? Tonight, if you hear it, 3 soft raps in the quiet, don't answer right away. Let the visitor wait. They're very good at waiting. 17. The man behind the curtain. That feeling there's someone pulling the strings of your thoughts. There's a moment, usually right before sleep, when you wonder if you've ever had an original thought in your life. You picture him then, the man behind the curtain, invisible but present, sitting at a desk inside your skull, shuffling papers, deciding what you'll think next. I've caught glimpses of him once or twice. A dark shape behind a thin veil, moving just out of sight when I turn my head. He doesn't rush. He never does. Some say he's your subconscious, running the show while you pretend to be in charge. Others say he's something older, something that was already here when you arrived. I once dreamed I reached behind the curtain and found nothing but another curtain, and another, and another. Tonight, if you feel like you're being watched from somewhere inside your own mind, don't try to pull the veil. He already knows you're there. 18. The laugh without a mouth. That disembodied giggle you hear when you're alone. That sound again. It starts faint, like the rustle of leaves, then sharper, more deliberate. A laugh that has no throat, no teeth, no lips to shape it. I first heard it in an empty theatre. I was alone, waiting for a show that never started, and from the rafters it came soft and cruel, like a child hiding behind a velvet curtain. You've heard it too, haven't you? When you've said something out loud in an empty room and thought, just for a second, that someone found it funny. Some say it's just your nerves misfiring. Others say it's a memory of someone who laughed at you long ago, echoing back through time. But sometimes I think it belongs to the dark itself, amused that you keep pretending it isn't alive. If you hear it tonight, don't laugh back. It doesn't like competition. 19. The face in the window. That quiet shock when you see someone watching you from the wrong side of the glass. It's always at night. Of course, when the window has turned into a black mirror. You glance toward it, just a habit, and there it is. A face, not yours. Not quite human. Close enough to recognize, but wrong enough to freeze your lungs. I saw mine one January, in the kitchen, its forehead leaned against the pane, its breath fogging just on the inside. I didn't move. Neither did it. Some say it's just your reflection warped by fatigue. Others say it's the shadow self you've tried to ignore. Whatever it is, it never knocks. It never leaves until you blink. So tonight, if you catch a glimpse of someone lingering just beyond the glass, don't stare too long. They don't like to be noticed. 20. The sleeper in the walls. The unsettling notion that something lives inside your walls, waiting. You hear them, sometimes don't pretend you don't. A faint scuffle behind the plaster. A breath. A low, deliberate creak when no one is moving. I've known about mine for years. Some nights it whispers stories, just loud enough to keep me awake. Other nights it just listens. I once pressed my ear to the wall and heard a soft humming. The kind of tune you hum when you're rocking yourself to sleep in the dark. People like to tell you it's mice, pipes, settling beams, but I've never met a mouse that knew my name. Tonight, if you hear it scratching, humming, breathing, don't answer. It already knows you're there. 21. The shadow that lags. That eerie sensation your shadow isn't quite keeping up with you. I noticed it first in the park, walking home at dusk. The light was long and golden, and there it was, my shadow, a few steps behind me. At first I thought it was just the angle of the sun. Then it stopped when I kept walking. And when I stopped, it kept moving. Sometimes, late at night, I watch it stretch along the wall of my bedroom. It seems to breathe heavier than me. Sometimes it stands just a little taller. Some people say it's the pieces of you that you leave behind when you make choices you regret. Others say it's the real you, patiently waiting for you to stop pretending. Either way, I've learned not to call to it. Shadows hate attention. If you see yours hesitate tonight, let it be. It always catches up eventually. 22. The curtain that moves. The unsettling sight of a curtain swaying when there's no wind. Oh, this one's delicate. There's nothing quite like the quiet dread of seeing a curtain flutter at midnight. The window is shut. The air is still. And yet, the fabric ripples like a sigh. I've watched mine for hours before pale and thin, swaying softly, as though fingers you can't see are brushing it from behind. Some say it's nothing but air currents, trapped heat, the weight of the fabric shifting itself on. Others say the space between a curtain and the wall is not quite part of your house anymore, that it's a kind of doorway, and sometimes something leans through. I never check behind it, not anymore. Tonight, if yours starts to move, don't look, just close your eyes. It stops sooner if it thinks you're asleep. 23. The voice that knows your name. When the silence whispers you awake by calling you. Ah, yes, that voice. It never shouts, never sings it, just murmurs. Your name, low and deliberate, curling up from the quiet like smoke. The first time I heard it was in a hotel room, half asleep. The air was thick with that peculiar stillness only found in strange places. Then it came my name, spoken so softly it felt like it was already inside my ear. I didn't answer, of course. That's the rule. You don't answer the first time. Some say it's your mind testing you, a false alarm stitched from lonely neurons. Some say it's someone or something who has known your name far longer than you have. If you hear it tonight, don't panic. And whatever you do, don't answer the second time either. 24. The lights under the door. That faint, impossible glow from a room that should be dark. It's a strange kind of glow, not quite gold, not quite white, like moonlight filtered through water. You'll notice it when the house is quiet, When you're sure all the lights are off and everyone's asleep. And then you see it, a soft line of light creeping out from under a door you could swear leads to nowhere. I first saw it under the attic door. It pulsed faintly, as though someone on the other side was walking slowly back and forth, carrying a lantern just out of sight. People will tell you it's nothing, a crack in the plaster, a trick of your sleepy eyes. But you and I know better. If you see it tonight, don't open the door. If you can't help yourself, then at least knock first. 25. The room that breathes. That quiet moment when the walls around you seem to exhale. It starts softly. The wallpaper shifts. The ceiling creaks. And the air feels heavier. I first noticed it on a humid summer night. The room seemed to swell with each breath I took, as though it were breathing with me, or maybe for me. Some say it's just the house settling, wood and plaster adjusting to the night. But there are times like that night when the rhythm of the walls matches the rise and fall of your own chest. I once pressed my palm flat against the wall and felt it warm, slow, alive. If you feel it tonight, the faint whoosh of air that isn't yours, don't move. Let it breathe. It's been waiting a long time to exhale. 26. The smile in the dark. That faint suggestion of teeth where no face should be. I shouldn't tell you this one, but it's already too late. Some nights, when the room is at its blackest, you'll see it a smile. No eyes, no nose, just a crescent of faint, pale teeth hovering where no mouth belongs. I saw mine first at the foot of my bed, years ago. I blinked and it stayed, wide, patient, unhurried. Some say it's a dream fragment, a leftover shape from the day hiding in the shadows. Others say it's the dark itself. Pleased you've finally noticed it. Don't speak to it. Don't reach for it. Just lie still and let it watch. It always leaves when it's had enough. 27. The door that locks from the outside. The sense you're not the one in control of staying in here. You might not notice at first. It's just a door like any other, quiet, painted the same color as the walls. But when you try to turn the knob, it doesn't budge. Not because you locked it, but because someone else already did. I first felt it in a dream, sitting in a small, square room with no windows. I heard the faint click from outside, like someone turning a key, like someone walking away, and my heart started pounding against the silence. Some say it's your own fear locking you in. Others claim it's the part of you you left behind, making sure you stay where you belong. If you find yourself behind that door tonight, don't fight it. It unlocks only when it wants to. 28. The watcher on the ceiling. That feeling there's someone above you, just waiting. Don't forget to look up. There's a weight in the air sometimes, heavy and still. And when you dare to glance at the ceiling, you see it a figure pressed flat against the plaster, staring down at you. I first saw the mine at 4 a.m. At first I thought it was a crack in the paint, then a trick of the light. But then it shifted just slightly and I knew better. Some say it's your mind's way of externalizing the pressure you feel. Some say it's the last dream of the day, clinging to you like cobwebs. I say it's just curious. So tonight, if you feel its eyes, don't meet them. And whatever you do, don't invite it down. 29. the hand under the bed, that childhood fear that never really went away. You know the one. The mattress feels soft and safe, but there's always a little space underneath. Dark, quiet, cool against the floorboards. I first felt it as a child, my feet dangling over the edge just long enough for something to brush my ankle. Not a grab, not a pull, just a polite hello. Some say it's nothing more than your own imagination feeding on too many bedtime stories. Others say it's something very old, older than stories, waiting for you to forget it's there. If you feel it tonight, that faint tickle on your heel, that gentle shift beneath the springs, don't flinch. It only wants to be remembered. 30. The eyes in the keyhole. The unsettling thought that someone is watching from the other side. It's easy to forget a keyhole exists at all. Just a tiny black oval on the door, too small to matter, all. But if you kneel, if you dare to look, you'll see it. A glint, a shimmer, a round little watching eye. I first saw mine on a stormy night, when the wind rattled the windows. I thought I imagined it, but it blinked, slowly, patiently. Some say it's just a trick of shadow and light, a crack in the paint. Others say the eye belongs to someone who never left, someone who lives between the rooms of this world and the next. If you notice it tonight, don't look too long, and whatever you do, don't wink back. 31. The smile in the photograph. That eerie discovery that a face in an old photo is smiling just for you. I found it one night, leafing through a dusty box of pictures, a face I didn't recognize, right in the middle of a family portrait. Everyone else looked stiff and serious, as people did in those days. But this figure, he was smiling, broadly, almost knowingly, and his eyes, well, they seemed to follow me even when I closed the album. Some say it's just a photographic anomaly, a trick of grain and shadow. Others say it's what happens when something from the picture notices you first. I've seen that same smile again and again since. On bus posters, in advertisements, once on a stranger across the street who never looked away. If you come across it tonight, in a frame on the wall or on your phone screen, don't smile back. He already thinks you have. 32. The whisper through the vent. That faint, deliberate voice carried through the walls. You might have heard it already late at night, when everything else has settled. A soft breath, just on the edge of words, drifting up through the vent, too quiet to understand, too deliberate to ignore. I first noticed mine during a thunderstorm. It started with a hum, low and rhythmic, then rose into a whisper. Sometimes it laughed, faint but warm, like someone sharing a private joke. Some say it's just pipes and wind conspiring to unsettle you. Others say it's someone or something using the vents to check on you when it thinks you're asleep. If you catch it tonight, lean closer if you must, but don't answer. It's not really speaking to you. 33. The reflection that doesn't stop. When your mirror image lingers just a little too long, there it is again, the mirror, silent and smug. Most nights you barely glance, but sometimes you notice. You turn your head and your reflection hesitates. It finishes the motion a fraction too late, like a tired actor forgetting his line. I first saw it in the middle of the night, brushing my teeth. I spat into the sink, looked up and he was still smiling when I wasn't. Some say it's fatigue playing with your perception. Others say it's what lives inside the glass, practicing being you until it gets it right. If it happens tonight, don't panic, don't wave, just look away. And whatever you do, don't wait to see what it does next. 34. The doorbell. That rings itself. That quiet chime echoing through the house when no one is there. I've heard it at least a dozen times, that soft, crisp ding-dong in the dead of night. You sit up, heartbeat hammering, and of course the porch is empty. No footprints in the snow, no package, no note. I once opened the door anyway. The air outside was thick, still, waiting. Some say it's nothing more than faulty wiring or a passing breeze. Others say it's a signal not for you to answer, but simply to remind you someone remembers where you live. If it happens tonight, don't rush to the door. It's already come and gone. 35. The footsteps that stop when you do. That soft sound following you, perfectly in sync until it isn't. It begins innocently enough, the faint tap of shoes behind you as you walk home. At first you assume it's your own echo. Then you stop and hear just one extra step after yours. I've felt it in stairwells, on empty streets, even in my kitchen once, that subtle hesitation, like someone trying not to get caught. Some say it's your nerves playing tricks, your own heartbeat knocking in your ears. Others claim it's the piece of you that got left behind somewhere, hurrying to catch up. If it happens tonight, if you hear them on the floorboards behind you, don't turn around. Whoever it is has been walking with you long enough. 36. The shape at the end of the bed. That faint silhouette you glimpse just before sleep takes you. It doesn't always appear, but when it does, it waits. I first saw mine when I was sick, half awake and drenched in fever. A tall, narrow shape standing at the foot of the bed, not moving, not breathing. Some say it's a dream fragment, a hallucination from the edge of sleep. Some say it's an old visitor, older than houses, older than beds. That comes only when you're too tired to send it away. I once whispered to mine, "What do you want?" It didn't answer, it never does. So, if you see it tonight, faint and patient in the darkness, close your eyes. It's polite enough to leave when you do. 37. The silence that watches back. That uncanny quiet that feels like more than just absence of sound. You notice it only when everything else stopped. The hum of the fridge, the cars outside, even your own breath seems to hush itself. At first, it's comforting. Then it grows heavier, like a thick velvet curtain pressing against your ears. I once lay awake listening to that silence and realized it wasn't empty at all. It was waiting, not passive, but expectant. Some say it's just your brain overcompensating when the world goes quiet. Others say the silence is alive, and when you finally notice it, it notices you too. If it comes for you tonight that dense, watching hush, don't fill it with noise. Let it look. It usually blinks first. 38. The smile you hear. That unsettling moment when you hear a grin before you see it. I know it sounds impossible, but it's real. Sometimes, in the dark, you'll catch it, a faint stretch of lips in the sound of a breath. The creak of unseen teeth parting just beyond your line of sight. I first heard it behind me while brushing my hair, a sound like fabric tearing, but soft and wet and very, very pleased. Some say it's your own mind, playing a cruel joke. Some say it's the dark itself, happy you're finally paying attention. If you hear it tonight, that quiet, hungry curl of sound, don't look around. It hates to be seen before it's ready. 39. The fingers around the door frame. That strange glimpse of something waiting just out of sight. It happens quickly. You glance toward the doorway and notice them pale, thin fingers curling around the edge of the frame. Not a hand, not an arm, just the suggestion of someone waiting in the next room. I saw them first as a child, playing hide and seek. My playmate had already been found, but there they were, anyway, 5 slow, deliberate fingers wrapping around the wood. Some say it's just your nerves misfiring when you're half asleep. Others say it's what lives in the threshold between rooms, between dreams and waking. If you see them tonight still and patient, don't move closer. They're already as close as they plan to get. 40. The weight beside you. That unmistakable dip in the mattress when no one is there. It starts as a subtle pressure, just enough to shift the sheets, just enough to make you aware you're not alone. I felt it once during a thunderstorm. The mattress sank gently beside me as though someone had quietly sat down. Some say it's your own body fooling itself, a trick of nerves and fatigue. Others believe it's the memories of everyone who's ever sat at your bedside, waiting their turn to speak. If it comes tonight, don't open your eyes. Just let it settle. It never stays long. 41. The knocking from inside the closet. That quiet rhythm you can't explain. It starts faint, soft, deliberate taps from behind the closet door. Always 3, then a pause, then 3 again. I first heard it on a windless night when everything else was still. The sound was slow, polite, almost shy. Some say it's the wood contracting, or hangers shifting. Others say closets are older than we think, that they hold more than coats and shoes. And sometimes what's inside wants to come out. If you hear it tonight, don't open the door. Just whisper not yet and let it rest. 42. The cold spot that follows you. That sudden chill that clings no matter where you move. It begins as a single breath of icy air. You step away, but it steps too just behind you, just close enough to brush your shoulder. I felt it once walking down an empty hallway at dusk. Every time I turned around, it ducked just out of sight, but the chill deepened, sharp and insistent. Some say it's a draft. Others say it's a memory made physical, something you thought you left behind but didn't. If you feel it tonight, that invisible frost clinging to your back, don't run. It melts faster if you pretend not to notice. 43. The door that opens itself. When you wake to find it ajar, though you're sure you closed it, it never opens all at once. Just an inch, then another. I remember waking at 2:17 a.m. to a faint creak. The door, which I had shut tightly before bed, was now cracked just enough to show a strip of black behind it, darker than the rest of the room. Some say it's the house settling, a draft, nothing more. Others say doors like that lead somewhere else for a little while, and someone, or something, stepped through. If it happens tonight, don't get up to close it. It always closes itself when it's ready. 44. The breath on your neck. That warm exhale you feel though no one's there. You feel it most when you're lying still. A soft, unmistakable puff of air against the back of your neck. I felt it once reading late at night. Alone. The air grew thick. My hair lifted. And there it was, warm, steady, waiting. Some say it's just the heat from your own skin rebounding. But I've always thought of it as a quiet hello. If you feel it tonight, don't flinch. It only lingers if you notice it. 45. The smile you see with closed eyes. That faint curve that appears when you're trying not to dream. It comes when you press your palms over your eyelids. When you're too tired to think, but too restless to sleep. A pale grin blooms in the darkness behind your eyes. No face, no body, just a crescent of light curling wider and wider until you open your eyes again. I first noticed it after a long flight, lying in a strange bed with strange sheets. Some say it's just pressure on your optic nerve. Others say it's the thing that waits behind your thoughts, trying to catch your attention. If you see it tonight, don't stare too hard. It prefers to remain polite. 46. The room you wake up in but don't recognize. That unfamiliar place your mind invents in the dark. Sometimes you wake and everything is wrong. The ceiling is too low, the walls too close. The air smells faintly of salt or dust or something you can't name. I've woken in that room more than once, convinced I was still dreaming, only to find the door gone. The window shuttered tight. Some say it's your brain misfiring as it climbs out of sleep. Others say there are rooms between worlds, and you've simply wandered into one by mistake. If you find yourself there tonight, don't panic. Close your eyes. It usually lets you out if you stop looking for the exit. 47. The window that shouldn't be there. That impossible pane of glass you'd notice only at night. You've lived here long enough to know how many windows your home has. And yet, one night you notice another. It's small, square, high in the corner of the wall, faint light behind it, like a distant moon filtered through fog. I first saw mine when I was 12, lying awake. The next morning, it was gone. Some say it's just a dream bleeding into waking. Others say it's a glimpse into someplace else, and better not to stare too long. If you see it tonight, let it glow. Nothing good ever comes from trying to open it. 48. The words on the wall. That faint writing you swear wasn't there yesterday. It begins as a smudge, then a line, then letters, faint but deliberate, curling up the plaster like ivy. I woke once to find my name written there, neatly, 3 times. Some say it's just cracks and stains, our minds desperate to make sense of them. But sometimes if you watch the words keep moving, spelling something only you can read. If you notice them tonight, don't answer back. Walls don't like conversation. 49. The last step that isn't there. That moment when your foot falls through nothing. It comes when you least expect it, walking down familiar stairs. Half asleep. And suddenly your foot finds air instead of wood. I first felt it one quiet morning, descending my own staircase. My stomach dropped, the world tilted, and for a single heartbeat I was falling through blackness. Some say it's just a muscle spasm. Others say it's the shadow of the dream you just left, tugging at you one more time. If it happens tonight, don't flinch. It always catches you, eventually. 50. The dark behind your eyes. That vast, silent space you sense when sleep finally wins. This is where it all ends and begins. When you close your eyes, and the world melts. You find it waiting. It isn't frightening, not exactly, but it is deep, older than thought, wider than memory. I've floated there countless nights, listening to it breathe, feeling it curl softly around me like smoke. Some say it's nothing, others say it's everything. If you reach it tonight, let yourself drift. It's been waiting for you. It always was. The end.